What are some lessons that you learned in terms of growth?
People, I always say this, they can be your biggest asset or your biggest liability.
Yep.
But when you get to see how much of an asset people can be to a business, you can't build a business without them. And when you see the fruitfulness of it, it's like, oh my gosh, like, why would I not grow more? In leadership, I don't always want to just lead people, I want to lead leaders. Well, in order for me to level up who I'm leading, I have to level up as an individual.
We got Josh Cooper in the house today. Where are you from, Josh?
I am from Canton, Georgia, so about
Canton,
3.5
Georgia.
hours away.
You got an hour back this morning, right? You drove up here this morning.
I did, yeah, early morning.
Full day of content in here. I'm really excited for you. We're going to talk about your brand. We're going to talk about you. I think you're doing massive things in the industry. I think you're going to be a major player and a major brand here. And I think a lot of people are about to know about it. So I'm excited to unpack that and really take this back to where you started and where you're at now and just kind of where the vision is and all those different things and how you can help a lot of our listeners out there more than anything. So like I said, we're going to take it back to when Josh was a young lad, and you can't see Josh standing up here, but Josh, how tall are you?
I'm 6'5".
Okay. I am not 6'5".
Yeah.
Right? I am not 6'5". I'm like the other, I'm like 5'6". No, maybe a couple inches taller than that. But my point being is Josh is a big old boy here, big basketball player. So I want to take it back to when you were a young lad. Just how did you grow up? Where are you from? Are you from the same area when you grow up? Like, how did you grow up?
Yeah, absolutely. So I'll give you a little insider information here. I'm actually a dual citizen, American and Canadian. Yep. So my dad's a pastor and has always been a pastor his whole life. So we were in Canada for 8 years. Grew up from basically age 2 to age 10 in Canada.
Yeah.
So experienced the cold there, good times there. And
Canada,
then, yeah, Canada, that's right. We moved back to Georgia really from about 5th grade on. And so that's the early years. So something else you probably don't know is I'm one of 9 kids.
Did not know that.
So I know there's a lot that we're going to unpack there.
Where are you in the 9 standings?
So I'm the 4th oldest.
Yeah.
Which is kind of interesting in our family dynamic. It's 8 boys and 1 girl, and we were kind of like the 4th oldest. I was the youngest of the 4.
Are all your siblings Sasquatches like you and really big?
No, I'm the tallest.
Yeah.
So, one brother is like 6'2", but most of them are right around like the 6 foot, 5'10", 6 foot area.
Big sports family?
Yeah, I think going through school, basketball was my passion. So I played basketball and football in high school, and I love sports. I love sports more than my siblings. One of my brothers plays a lot of volleyball, and he likes sports a lot, but I don't know if I just got all the sports genes, just wanted to play more than anybody else, but most of us played sports through high school at least.
And what position did you play?
So football, middle linebacker, and then I was at a small school.
Big middle linebacker.
Yeah.
Like a DN.
I wasn't always this big. So in high school, I was probably like 6'4", like maybe 195, 200. And then college, like, 6'5", about 210, 215.
But you played basketball in college, right?
Yeah, correct. So small school, North Georgia, NAI level school. And played there for 5 years, redshirted the first year, but stayed in Georgia. Had a couple different looks at like other small NAIA schools. Went to a small private school in Macon, and so from I was in private school from 6th grade all the way till I graduated. So 15, 20 kids in a class, which most people are like, man, that's super small. But it was homeschooled before that, so there wasn't quite 15 there.
Okay.
So been in Georgia. My dad's a pastor in Middle Georgia.
Still a pastor? Still
a
preaching?
pastor, yeah. In like Fort Valley. Grew up in. This is where I grew up, is Roberta, Georgia. So grew up in Roberta, always had people to play outside with, play sports, play roughhouse, and grew up, grounded in church and so forth. My dad's a pastor, and really got instilled a lot of different things from my parents. Had a really good upbringing, which I think is a blessing. A lot of people have a story of like, oh man, had to go through this, and had some good parents. So that's good.
Yeah, I ask in every podcast, if you've listened to it, is 9 to 13, did you have a lighthouse or a foghorn? It sounds like you had a bunch of lighthouses, which were just positive influences in your life, and you didn't have this crazy childhood upbringing that gave you this.
Yeah, I didn't have anything I had to like climb out of the mud for.
Yeah.
I will say, 'cause I do listen to your podcast a good bit and kind of go through things. I remember like between the 8 and 14, that's really when I like fell in love with sports. Never played organized sports until then.
But your dad's a pastor, so who drove you to sports?
I think just when I finally went to school, I just always wanted to do that, right?
Yeah.
Like, I have no idea. There was not, like, literally being 10 years old, we were in North Carolina for a couple of years. I would literally go down to the church gym and like break open the door and just go shoot basketball.
Yeah.
And I knew it, like one of the guys there, Mr. Buck, had taught me how to like jimmy the lock. And he was like, all right, you can go in there anytime you want. And I would just go down there, flip the lights on and do that.
Yeah.
So that was something, I think, like just enjoyment with it, having fun with it. I was naturally a little good at it. And then I think being a part of a team and being driven, something I could work on. It became a passion. I don't know where it got instilled from, but it's something I love still to this day.
So just having habits and consistency, like 8 to 14, you were developing those, and like you said, falling in love with basketball, falling in love with sport at that point.
Yeah, and falling in love with like the process, right?
Yeah,
so
that's what I was looking for, the process.
Yeah, whenever, when I was in high school, I played football and basketball. And to be honest, I know you're a big football guy, but I hated football practice. The only thing I liked about football practice was hitting. So it was like, I got to this point, and one of my football coaches was like, dude, you could play tight end, I think, in college. Like, you're a big guy, you can do that. And I was like, I don't want to go do something where 6 days out of the week I hate it and I love games.
Yeah.
Whereas basketball, I loved every part of it. And I was like, I'd much rather get to the point where, where you're practicing, you enjoy practice, just every part of the game I just really enjoyed. And I think it's important with everything you do in life, with your work, or what you're choosing to do for a job, or that you need to enjoy the process, not just the wins or the celebratory times. You need to enjoy the grind.
Yeah, I mean, I was in Illinois last week with my high school football coach, one of my best friends, won a couple state championships. And we were talking about how much more enjoyable building that championship team was, the process of it, than actually having to keep that standard up there. Once you get there, everybody expects it and wants it. And you got to really have that pressure on you. But building it, the process of it, I think that's what I fell in love with over the last 10 years of building this business. So 8 to 14, you're falling in love with basketball. So you go into high school, you said it's private high school or not?
Yeah, private school.
Okay. So. Private school, and then you're on the basketball team. You're like, what was high school like for Josh growing up?
So we didn't have we had junior varsity at the one school. So I was in one school from 6th grade to 8th grade. Yeah, one school, 6th grade to 8th grade. That school ended up shutting down, or 6th grade to 9th grade. It was good. So, I mean, small school, but being able to develop, and really didn't have an idea of wanting to play in college or that being a reality probably until junior year. And then really just was playing all the time, working on my game and so forth. So, I mean, basketball is just something that I really can't describe. I played last night in a men's league. So if I didn't get up, my wife was like, why don't you go to Nashville tonight? You had an early morning. I was like, I have a 9:30 men's league game. I'm going to go play.
9:30 at night?
Yeah.
Oh, gosh.
So those are tough
Yeah.
when you got small kids. But that's how much I just have, and anybody who knows me knows I really do love to play. Yeah. And it's a passion of mine.
So what about school? Were you a good student?
I was a pretty good student because we had high expectations at home. Yeah. So I made sure I met.
Was it a pretty disciplined home, it sounds like?
Yeah, pretty disciplined. I remember one time I was supposed to go back to study hall, and I was like, went to the gym and got shots up. The PE teacher came out and was like, oh, you need to go back. And I was like, okay. So I went back in the hallway, never went back to class. And they were like, did you go back? And I was like, oh yeah. And I remember came back to my dad, was picking us up from car line, and the teacher came out and she's like, I went and talked to the teacher. You didn't go back to class. And I was like, this is it. This is how I die. Yeah. And it's just kind of discipline, things weren't tolerated, Yeah. But it instilled a lot of good stuff in us, where you make those small mistakes, it keeps you from making bigger mistakes later on, I think. So
you're going through college or going through high school, you're playing basketball, decent student, but it sounds like you got in trouble a little bit.
Yeah, just cut up. You know, I like to have a good time. If I'm bored, I'm probably gonna not act out, but just I'm bored. I want do something funny, have some fun in class, and have some good buddies. So just kind of small stuff like that, like cutting up and teachers not being happy with it. But really had a good relationship with teachers. They liked our family across the board because the kids were pretty well behaved, I guess, when you compare to a lot of students. I think I graduated a 3.98 GPA, so I had good grades. And that was a big part of when you go to smaller school to play ball, grades matter when it comes to getting money. Yep. And so there was no college fund for my, to go to school. If you're going to go to school, you're going to pay for it. Yep. And so basketball was a way to do that, as well as grades help out at a smaller school because they can offer you more money. So that was something important to me because when things directly impact your pocket and your pockets aren't deep, you pay attention to them.
Did you have to pay for your own college?
Yeah.
Okay.
Absolutely.
So that made a big difference there. So was your high school team any good? And you went to college to play basketball. Were you guys good in high school?
We had a good group. I mean, probably about 7 guys that really played pretty well. We competed. We went to Final Four our senior year, won the region. And we played against a lot of guys that a lot of the smaller NAI schools had one college player on each team, right? Yeah. But one thing I noticed, and we can kind of get to this later, is these guys were really good ball players. They would go play college sports. And then like a year or two later, you would just see them back and you're like, hey, what's going on? And they all quit.
Yeah.
And so one thing, when me and my buddy Dreddy, he went and played at Truett McConnell, we were like, hey, we're going to go through this whole thing, because one thing, I think it builds character. And in every point in life, there's always an opportunity where it even makes sense to quit sometimes, right? And you're like, things aren't fair, it doesn't work well. But being able to go through college and complete the entire, eligibility and course of being able to play, I think translates a lot into how we're going to be able to be successful later on in life. And it's kind of shown true through that.
100%.
Because we were like, hey, I'm not going to be the guy who quits. So it's going to be tough. We expect that. We know it's going to happen. And I'm just going to stick it out.
And that's what's crazy. I mean, I think a lot of that of the hiring world, I think when I was playing football, my freshman year, we came in with 70, 80 freshmen. And I graduated with 15 people that made it all the way through.
Yeah.
And it's like, man, but I always say this, like, I remember every single one of those 15 people.
Yeah.
I don't really remember the 80 people that quit. I'm talking about. And I don't have a relationship with those 80 people that quit.
Sure.
It's those 15 people that went through all 4 years of sacrifice, consistency, discipline, that are still relationships that I carry to this day. But to summarize that, I mean, why do you think people quit?
I think a lot of people can't handle tough things.
Yeah.
I think we have a lot of soft people, to be honest. And there's always somebody else, like, we're doing a podcast right now, and hopefully people hear our voices, and can be encouraged by it or challenged by it. And one of the reasons I want to do stuff like this and be able to put more content out is because people are going to hear voices out there regardless. And if we're not willing to put our voices and make them louder, then they're going to be steered in the wrong direction by a lot of people. And so I think that, when you're at school and you're focused on basketball and you're wanting to be in good shape and you're eating right and taking care of yourself, and other people are out partying, having a good time at a bigger campus, that can be attractive, right? The easy road is always attractive, and a lot of people are on it. And we did the same thing. They would bring in like 30, 40 guys every year. But after 2 years or 3 years, we would look around and be like, in about 3 weeks, there's going to be 11 of us here.
Yep.
And 8 of us have been here for several years. You know what I mean? Like we know how the process goes, and some of the guys can't handle it.
Yep.
So I think people are looking for the easy road, and maybe didn't have the strong upbringing that instilled the character in them where they could handle the tough things when they came.
Well, we talked about this morning on our 8:30 call, resiliency, right?
Yeah.
And I think of those people that made it through all 4 years. Those are the people that are doing big things because they've had a history of doing tough things, being resilient, fighting through adversity. And I think the whole point that we're putting together here is when you do things you don't want to do, when you make it through tough times, it'll absolutely launch every aspect of your life going forward. And it'll carry a trend into the years that matter, as a parent, as a business owner, as a person, as a Christian, all those different things.
Absolutely. Yeah, I think that's a huge thing. And so I think just understanding who you are and developing and so forth, and just wanting to be consistent with that is huge on doing big things.
Yep, absolutely. So you had a good high school. You were great playing there. Where did you go to play college ball at?
So I played at Reinhardt University. So it's an NAIA school in North Georgia. It's actually in the same county I live at currently. Okay. So Cherokee County. Went to school. Wasn't really sure what I wanted. Well, I wanted to play professional basketball. So that was clear, right? I was like, this is what I want to do. You're that passionate about something.
What position did you play?
So I played like a big guard. So we had.
Is that like a Zion position?
Zion Williamson?
Yeah, give me like an NBA player I would know. Like what is your equivalent? If we were to take you as an NBA player, who are you?
Well, I'm not an NBA player. Otherwise, I would not be sitting here. But
in terms of who your style is most like.
I mean, I was like probably like a big guard shooter. So I don't even know. I was more of a college guy. So we played like a 4-out 1-in, which basically means we had not very many big guys or tall, super tall guys, like 6'8", 6'10", 7-footers. And so I was kind of a hustle player who picked and shot threes. So I shot a lot of threes, kind of where I hung my hat. Yeah. And that allows me to keep playing. The goal is to keep playing until I'm 50.
Did you do the point thing after you did a three? Like that? What's that trend going around the Sophie?
No, I pretty much I just shot the three. I'm pretty easygoing, like cool, calm, and collected. Even if I like my sophomore year, first game I think of the season, I was 7 for 8 shooting threes. Yeah. I think I ended up with like 24 points. And like I'm just not. One thing I try to never get too high or too low. Yeah. Right. So. Now I'm having fun. Like you best believe if you're shooting 7 for 8 for 3-point line and leading the team in scoring, whatever it may be for that game, this is a fun time. Yeah. But I think how you wear it is important.
Yeah, no, you're a humble leader. I would
so
definitely say that. 100%.
So that kind of carried through basketball. Went to school. I think I started with a math degree.
Yeah.
I was just good at math in high school. I didn't really love school, but I didn't have a problem with the number side. I'm a mathematical, logical thinker. Absolutely.
Yeah.
I learned that.
I could definitely see as a math teacher. Yeah.
Yeah. So went to school for math. After I got through like calculus 2, I started getting like abstract algebra type stuff. And honestly, it lost me. And like the whole class, nobody really understood what was going on, but they were all just doing group tests. And I was like, this is kind of dumb. So I downgraded. I always wanted to be a teacher and a coach. And so I went to middle school, math and history. Could definitely stomach that part. And went to middle school math and history, graduated with that, and started teaching right after college, which is actually pretty neat. I actually
like 3 months after college, you're right in the working world.
So actually 3 months before college, I was already hired. So my student teaching year in the fall, I was going to graduate in December.
How old are you at this time?
So 22, 21.
Okay.
21.
So you finished in 4 years. You're
so
zooming right along. Yep.
Yeah. So I had redshirted, so I had an extra year of eligibility, and I was going to play because I love basketball, right? And in the fall, I was doing my student teaching, and at my middle school, there was an opening for a math teacher.
Yep.
And my student teacher went to the principal, was like, you need to hire this guy. And so I graduated in December. They offered me in December. So I actually started as a full-time teacher in January, and I was still playing basketball at college.
That's wild.
Yeah. So it was pretty cool. So
the kids love that.
Yeah, they actually got to come to some of my games. So it's pretty cool. So I just said, hey, I'll work with you guys full time. I'm not going to miss a basketball game. And they're like, well, you can take leave without pay. I was like, okay, perfect. So it's pretty cool. I mean, at that time, making about $42,000 a year as a 21-year-old and going to hoop. Yeah, it was a pretty cool experience. I'd never heard anybody doing something like that.
Yeah.
But that was a lot of fun. So graduated there, and then taught for 5 years. So I did
I didn't know that. So you were teaching for 5 years.
Yeah, 3 years at middle school, and then wanted to be a coach. So I was like, well, how can we get there? How can we progress? I coached at the middle school level, but I wanted to coach high school.
What age did you start coaching?
So I was coaching AAU ball probably like 18.
Okay. So you've always been coaching.
I've always working with kids. So I've always done teaching, coaching, working at camps.
And how many kids do you have?
How many kids do I have? I have 2. So I got 2 boys.
Yep.
I got soon to be 5, soon to be 3.
Yep.
So it's a 0 to 100 real quick, right? But it's a blast, and they're really fun ages right now, Kaysen and Colton.
So you've always been working with young people, always been teaching, always been developing. Like that's been Josh since he was 18.
Yeah. Oh, Josh's plan was, I'm going to be a teacher and a coach for 30 years. I'm going to be a high school coach.
Yeah.
And
but
that's the goal.
Just like I always said, you're still teaching and coaching. We're going to get there in the story. Obviously, you're still teaching and coaching. It's just in a different vehicle.
Sure.
Right?
Yeah, absolutely. So was doing that, and really, if you know anything about teachers, they don't make a lot of money.
Oh, yeah.
And was getting married and wanted to have kids and wanted the opportunity for my wife to be a stay-at-home mom, right?
So when you meet your wife, we're skipping some steps here.
Yeah, so every summer I was doing something for extra money. We would work at Goshen. I would work at Goshen Valley Boys Ranch. It's a foster home in Cherokee County.
Yeah.
They work with the state, and they're awesome. I would run their summer academy with another guy. We would take foster boys, go on mountain bike and kayak, and just keep them busy in the summertime when they weren't in school. And so I was doing that.
There's a lot more depth to you, huh? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah. So we were doing that, and the owner, Zach Blend, he actually ended up being our officiant in our wedding.
Okay.
He's the CEO. His dad founded it, and he hit me up in November and was like, "Hey man, we're playing flag football over Thanksgiving break. The boys would love to see you. Do you want to come out here?" So I was actually supposed to go on a date that day, but I was like, "Well, I'd rather come play flag football. You know, like hang out with whatever." So I ended up going up there, and I didn't know, but one of the local churches was having I guess like a day where they all come out there and they kind of help decorate for Christmas or pour into the foster home area. Yeah. So I'm out there playing flag football. Lauren's on the other team. And I'm like, oh, she's cute. Okay.
Yeah.
And so start talking to her, and I'm just like, I know the ranch.
She's like, Josh, why do you keep ripping off all my flags?
What's going on? Well, funny story. She thought I was actually a success story of the foster home. Yeah. So she was like, who's this guy? What's going on? And so I'm like showing her around the ranch, her and her sister.
Yeah.
And I'm like, hey, you want to go hang out at the dog park after this? I got nothing going on.
Yeah.
And old Roscoe, I got to give him a shout out. He's been with me for about 11 years. Yeah. Roscoe Dash. So
Roscoe was the wingman in this story. Yeah.
So he's a good one.
Yeah.
So we would hang out, and then from there dated, got married in 2019. And I was still teaching at that time. And then after 2019, actually, when I stopped teaching, went full time into insurance as well. So it's kind of right around the same time,
So 23, met your wife. And then you transitioned out of teaching and coaching and 26 years old?
Yep. Yeah. So I got married right around 25, 26. And then that summer, so every summer I was doing the academy and then I was working at a window shop. It was just kind of like, how can you make extra money as a teacher, right?
Yep.
And so in the summertime,
I feel like
wasn't working.
every teacher I know still does the same thing.
Oh yeah, a lot
Summers
of them
are just hustling.
Yeah, they're like cutting grass
Yeah.
or they're
doing tile,
anything. So that was me. But every summer I was starting over.
Yeah.
So every summer was like, let me look for a $10 an hour job, way overqualified. Like I was working in a warehouse, organizing everything, and the guy's like, man, can I hire you full time? And I'm like, it's not what I want to do with my life.
Yeah.
So I had reached out, like I'm looking for something in sales. And I'll kind of go back a little bit. When I was teaching in middle school, there was this guy named Hank Chandler, and he was like, he was in his 50s. His son played Georgia football, Trip Chandler, and he had retired from pharmaceutical sales and went back into education because he loved working with kids and giving back. So we ate lunch together every day, and every day he said, Josh, you're gonna be in sales one day. And I was like, no, I'm not, dude. I'm getting my master's.
You've got the gift of gab.
Yeah, I'm like, I'm gonna be a teacher. I'm gonna be a teacher and a coach every day for like 3 years. So then that, you start hearing people, I started looking at, well, what does pharmaceutical sales do? And I started applying for pharmaceutical sales, and they're like, you need experience. I'm like, well, how am I gonna get experience if nobody will give me an opportunity? So I'm looking, that kind of gets me like the wheels turning about what can sales really do for me, right? And do I have the opportunity for it? So I literally post on Facebook, does anybody know of any sales opportunities? And one of my buddies from high school is like, you should sell life insurance. And I'm like, hey, no thanks. I don't want to hit up my family and friends. Yeah. That's literally what I said. Like, everybody out of college, they got the people
Northwestern,
that like, all those different ones. So you hear the person who calls you like, hey, bro, what's going on, brother? And you're like, we never talked 5 words in college, but now you want to catch up.
Now you want to put me in your MLM.
Yeah. So I was like, I don't want to do that. And he was like, well, we don't do that. We strictly work with seniors and we work leads. I was like, okay, tell me a little bit more. So he was telling me, and I'm like, well, he told me I got paid $400 a week for training, and training was 3 days a week. Well, I'm like, if I can make $400 in 3 days, sign me up. Yeah. I was like, even if I don't have to do anything, we'll hang out. And like, that was good enough for me. So I was like, all right, I'll get licensed. And then while I'm getting licensed, he's calling me and he's like, all right, at the end of this week, I made like, $1,500 or $2,500. And I'm like, wait, in a week? I was like, my take home paycheck was like $2,300 for the month. And I was working my butt off, Right. And I was like, if you can do it, I believe in myself. Like, this guy's still a top producer. But I was like, if you could do it, I think I at least have a shot.
This is going on in the summer while you're teaching.
Yeah, so he's telling me this in May, right before I kind of get out there and start training. And so then I get licensed. I get my life and health license, even though everybody else would only have their life license. Because I'd heard some stuff about Medicare, about eventually wanting to add it on, right?
So you knew about Medicare that?
Just a little bit, like the word. I didn't know really anything about it, how it worked, how it helped. So we go out there and we train for like 2 days, and he writes like $6,000 in AP, which brings in a lot of revenue for him. Like he makes like $5,000 or $6,000. I'm like, oh my gosh, like I've never seen that kind of money, right? And then the next week, he goes on vacation for the rest of the week. And I'm like, okay, that's cool. Yeah. So then the next week I go work with his brother. And then after that, I'm like, they give me some old leads. I go out and I literally instantly have some success. It wasn't like I had to fumble around. I remember making a sale my first day with a lady. I want
to pause there real quick. I made a sale my first day ever. And I look back at that and I think that was really important. Tell me your thoughts on having early success in the insurance industry.
Yeah, so now I train and coach and mentor a lot of agents.
Right.
And what I know is that early on, you're building a belief system. And if you constantly see failure, your belief system is, this doesn't work, right? So I need to show them success early on, because when tough times come, if their belief system is strong enough, the tough times are like, oh, we've been through this. I know what can be done. So for me, nobody necessarily said, oh, you can do this for sure. It was like I developed that because I was able to make the sales and have the success. And then I was going to work all summer. So, and truthfully, my prayer was, it was like, Lord, if this is something that I'm supposed to be doing, let me be ultra successful. If I'm not, let me fall on my face and I'll go right back to teaching, right? And I was the #1 agent in the entire IMO in the month of July, on my first month.
No kidding.
Yeah, no, literally people were calling.
How many people are in that IMO?
About 1,300 now or more, probably. At that time, several hundred.
In your first month, you were the top salesperson.
Yeah, so
what did you do to become the top salesperson your first month? I
wrote 32,000 AP on my first month.
Well, what were you doing though? What kind of activity?
I was taking leads and I was going knock on doors for 3 days a week.
So I started knocking on doors. You started knocking on doors. Talk to us about knocking on doors for people out there. What does that mean, and like why is that so unheard of now?
Yeah, so it can mean a lot of different things, and social media makes it unheard of. It's actually still a thriving industry.
No, very true. That's very true.
And so social media is easier to influence people about, the sexiness of working remote, and we can dance between calls or whatever it may be. But in reality, there's a thriving industry that still works face to face, not just in the insurance space. I mean, pest control,
that's such a good point. I mean, I am a proponent of that because we do a lot of remote sales, but I spent years, 6-7 years knocking on doors and built a 7-figure business. So keep going on that. I love what you're saying there.
Yeah, I'm a believer in both. And I'll say this, and we'll come back to it, but one thing in our industry, the insurance industry specifically, it's based on fear mongering a lot of times, right? And so I'm not a fear monger. I believe like there's ways to succeed. There's just several different ways. And if we can incorporate several of those, we're going to have a more complete agent, right? And so I started knocking on doors. We're working leads. We had fresh leads and old leads that were direct mail. At that time, I mean, I think they were like $25 a piece. Now they're like 40 to 50, depending on where you get them from, right? But basically, walk up to a door, knock on a door, give them your pitch, try to get inside, go through a presentation, and then you're just going to assess the situation. And that's what I was doing. And I was literally working Monday through Wednesday and was grinding from about 9:30, 10 a.m.
But I want to dig into that more because anybody can do what you just said. Go knock on a door, give a sales pitch, presentation, make a sale, whatever. What were you doing different?
I think the background in education helps me a lot when it comes to sales in
Teachers
general.
and coaches have a supreme advantage. But expand on that.
And I was both. I was a teacher and a coach. So when you're working with seniors or when you're working with insurance in general, number one, seniors like a young person to explain things they don't understand.
Bingo.
So
I think a lot of people don't understand that older people love working with somebody youthful, energetic, education-based. Like whenever I see ads and people are like, I'm not taking Medicare advice from a 30-year-old, BS.
Correct.
Right? Same thing on the life side is people want to work with young people.
Well, imagine your grandmother when she gets a new iPhone. Like she's not going to another senior and be like, can you help me with this? She's like, honey, come over here and figure this out for me. The same thing, insurance is confusing. And so when we can make it simple and clear, they're like, all right, this guy is up to date on the new stuff out there because new products come out all the time, right? And so I think the teaching, coaching background, being able to make a complex topic simple helped me a lot. And then just having like that enthusiasm, which can be contagious, where they like want to work with you. And then just like if you give me a simple task, I can do that task really well, right? And so that my task was very simple. We had 3 carriers we were writing, right? And through that, it was like, hey, go 1, 2, or 3 based off the situation, and it made it really,
And I think that's really important too when you're starting out. Simplicity is going to scale, right? So you said you had 3 carriers. When we bring on a new agent, we focus on really 3 carriers, right? And then we can expand. It's the framework I talk about every freaking day. Optimize. We optimize with carriers and sales process. And then we can amplify it with more carriers once we have an optimized sales process out. And then we can scale it with people, processes, systems, all those different things.
Yeah, and we do the same thing. I mean, we have what we call our core 4, right? And so we kind of rolled that out, with agents and partners as well as these 4 carriers cover your entire basis. And if you try to go more than 4, you're not going to be good at any, right? And so we want to make sure they really dial in and understand the different carriers and products. So we had that dialed in. It was really simple. Go 1, 2, or 3. And so just by knocking on doors, sitting down with people, I would uncover situations. And really in the final expense space, if you can get somebody's policy out, there's a lot of, in a dark room, a bright light shines really bright, right? Or a candle even shines really bright. And so in the life insurance space, because a lot of it is MLM related, there's all recruitment, no training, right? And so if you're all recruitment, no training, what do you have? A ton of people who don't know what they're doing.
Right.
And so when a ton of people are selling products and don't know what they're doing, you end up with poorly serviced clients or clients that are in products that are written wrong, maybe on purpose, maybe not, right? Or products that just aren't a good fit for them, that they're overpaying for. So we would go in, sit down, and go over everything. And we wrote a lot of business on replacements, universal policies. If they weren't written right, and you're meeting with a 75, 80-year-old, they're about to blow up, that gave big opportunity. But I wasn't doing anything crazy. I started hearing people like, how's he doing that? What kind of leads is he working? Everything was the same. And after that year, after writing that much business in July, I had like $20,000 in the bank. Because I was still getting paid as a teacher in the summertime. So my plan wasn't to spend that money.
Which is probably the most money you had ever had at that point.
Oh my God, never ever seen.
I'm
like, oh my gosh. So at that point in time, I'm like, this must be beginner's luck or a fluke. Because like, if this was out here the whole time, how come somebody had to tell me, like, how come nobody knows about this, right? So then I'm already under contract to teach next year. Well, if you give somebody $20,000 and tell them they can do this and work 3 days instead of 6, and they're like, hey, now go back to your other job, it's like, oh man, this is tough. So I was like, all right, I was talking to a buddy about this actually this morning, is changing industries, right? And sometimes we can be stuck in something thinking that like, if I leave this, I'll never get it back. Because I'd been told, man, you're in Cherokee County. This is a great school system. You're lucky to be here. And then I assessed it and I said, I'm a male math teacher who's gifted and special education certified. If I want to get an education job, I can go get another one. Right? I was like, and I'm good at what I do. I have good references. So I looked at like, well, what if I fail when I try this other journey? And if I fail, I can come back. So it really wasn't that big of a risk. And I went to my principal and said, hey, I've got an opportunity I want to pursue. And as soon as you can find a replacement for me, I'm ready to jump. And it took till December. I was like counting down the days. It was like December 20th was my last day. And then I went full time in January 2020, which if you know anything about the world, in March of 2020, what happened? COVID.
Yep.
So I leave my very safe, comfortable job. I go out there and I'm knocking on doors in person.
Door knocking in COVID.
March of 2020, I'm in Bartow County, Georgia, and I'm like, the world kind of just gets shut down. I'm like, let's just go home for the day, right? Let's just figure this out. And end up going home, and I'm home for a week, and I'm like, well, when you're a commission-only job, you don't make money sitting at home.
Right.
And I'm like, we're gonna have to go out and work. So I literally, gloves on, mask in the bag, Clorox wipes, put a chair in the trunk. We're gonna go knock on doors. And wrote 298.
Was the chair in the trunk so you could sit on the porch and talk to people?
Or sit in the yard if they weren't comfortable. Yeah. So, and I'll say this and we'll come back to it.
Yeah.
Everything in every journey is about finding a way.
Yeah.
Right? There's not always a clear path laid out in front of you, especially in entrepreneurship. And so what are you willing to do to find a way, figure out things that work? And what I found is we're in the South, and there are people out there who just were like, COVID's not real. I'll talk to you. But also, people were passing away. And that, I think, maybe instilled a little bit more urgency that we need to get this life insurance under control.
I never thought about that. That was probably a pretty big boom for the life insurance industry.
Well, a lot of people quit, actually. There were a lot of agents that...
I mean, in terms of people buying it.
Yeah, probably for buying. But there wasn't as many e-apps. There wasn't... I mean, when I started, we were doing paper apps and faxing them in.
I mean, anybody that was not prepared to adapt in the field, that probably evaporated a lot of field agents that weren't able to adapt like you.
I mean, there were people that were scared, right? And people were like, and I'm like, well, I got to work. So scared or not, you can't sit at home.
Right.
You're going to die if you don't pay your bills and eat either.
Yeah, you got a family to feed.
Yeah. So I went out and ended up that year wrote like $298,000 in life premium, which was a big year, right?
Yeah.
And so I'm like, okay, I see what this can do. And really from there, I never went out and said, I'm going to recruit. Because number one, I never want to lead somebody into something that I'm not 100% confident in. Because when I lead somebody there, I'm responsible for them.
Yep.
So I'm not willing to like play a game with their life. I'm willing to take a risk. I'll bet my money all day long, right? I'm not. I have no affinity to gambling, okay? But I'm not willing to do it with other people, right? I want to make sure that it's secure. So I wasn't out there saying, oh, everybody could do this, because I thought, not to be cocky, but like I have to be somewhat good at this if I'm having this much success. But then on the flip side, I said, I can't be the only person who can do this. And I thought, how many people out there are making $40,000 to $50,000 a year, working 60 hours a week, that could be doing better in a similar role like me, right? And so fast forward, had some
you're
people...
most qualified to lead who you once were. So I mean, you were literally identifying people that were in similar situations to you.
Absolutely.
And helping them get to the place that now you have gotten to.
And it's really developed our model where when we interview people and talk to them, we do an interview, we do a ride along, and if they're interested, we onboard them, right? We ask them how much they need every month, how much debt they have, and if their financial situation.
Why debt?
How much debt they have?
Yeah.
Because when you're in a commission-only role and you have a certain amount of debt, that's a certain amount of pressure before you ever make a dollar.
Yep.
And if you have too much pressure, there's already enough mental challenges to overcome with objections.
Yep.
And so if somebody's not in the right headspace because they owe somebody else money and then they have a tough day, that spirals.
Yep.
So I'm going to ask like, hey, how much money do you need to pay all your bills? And if they told me, man, I need $8,000, that's not where I want somebody to start out at.
Yeah.
Right? Like, do I think they can make more than $8,000? Sure.
Yeah.
But like, if that's what you need, there's too much pressure on you because there's a learning curve in the industry, you know? So fast forward, we start growing, we grow organically. Okay. One agent who works with me had been a buddy since college. And he was actually about to start working at a PNC agency. He's been with me over 5 years. Another guy was literally in Tennessee selling internet for AT&T, right? So he was like showing up to people's houses.
So these are the first couple managers
first two agents that are now managers, obviously.
And I want to pause on that real quick because I believe your first couple hires or the first people you bring on are so critical to your long-term success, right? Because we talked about earlier, when you're selling for the first time, like that belief system or seeing that success initially ultimately propels you. Same with hiring, in my opinion.
Yeah.
If you have a crappy first couple hires, it's going to deter you or ultimately slow down your timeline for future hires, in my opinion, from what I'm seeing. What are your thoughts on that?
I mean, that's absolutely correct. So people, I always say this, they can be your biggest asset or your biggest liability, right? But when you get to see how much of an asset people can be to a business, you can't build a business without them, right? And when you see the fruitfulness of it, it's like, oh my gosh, like, why would I not grow more? But I've had some managers that we've tried to hire people and they've been a liability, right? And I can see that where it's like it's a stress and it's a pain point for them, and trying to push them through and
when
build
you identify that word liability, what are those key traits that you look for success first, and you identify a liability with a manager or an agent?
So number one, we hire for character, train for skill. Okay, so you can't always tell in an interview people's character, right? But you can identify that for the first 90 days of them working with you, because there are certain things that are going to be red flags that pop up, whether it's not showing up to things on time, whether it's cutting out early during a day, whether it's not following through, or just not being coachable, right? I mean, you can identify it when you're coaching a kid. So I think with that, like you can identify if people aren't touching the line early on, and you can identify people who are cutting out early or people who just aren't doing what needs to be done, because we have a recipe for success on our field model. And when you have a recipe, that means if you do the same thing every time, you're going to get the same results, right? You always talk about a consistent process yields consistent results, right? And so we have that on our field side. And so from there, we grew with those two. We now have over 30 brokers in the field, really probably over 50 brokers that are contracted with us. But like when I say field brokers, these are people that every single week, full time, are purchasing leads in different counties and different zip codes and working that model. And they're having a lot of success. A lot of our agents make.
And your field agents are almost all door to door still, right?
Yeah, they're still door to door. We just
so what is that formula? How many doors a day are you aiming to hit?
So we're aiming for presentations.
Yeah. How many presentations a day?
Yeah. So if we can do 15 presentations a week, we're going to close over 50% of them probably. Yeah. Average premium is going to be between $50 to $75 on an app, and a comp schedule is going to be 100% or higher. Right. So 9-month advance. If you write, our goal. I want every agent to sell over 420 in monthly premium, which would be 420 times 12 to get AP, right? Yep. So if we do the math, if we do 420 premium a month, or 420 of monthly premium every single week, then they're going to be in like making 150,000 a year. Yeah. Okay. Because you have to subtract your lead cost plus 20% chargeback rate, which is what is going to happen, right? Yep. You can mitigate those things, but we teach life insurance first because I want to teach sales agents. One thing that teaching Medicare first sometimes can teach order takers. Yep. And so I want people who learn how to sell, because ultimately we're making recommendations, and that comes from a place of learning sales strategy. So once we have them selling life insurance, now I'm like, hey guys, you need to learn how to cross-sell Medicare and ancillary, because these clients need that as well. And so really within a 6-month process, they can have a good basis of understanding on the sales process, and you can identify if it's a good fit personality-wise, right? Yeah. Because some people, sales is not really a good personality. Right. Everybody wants 15, 20, 30K a month, but when it comes down to what's required to get that, not a lot of people want to do that. Yeah. So field model, they still work that. It's really good for persistency. And I'll say with telesales shops popping up.
I mean, face-to-face sales are always going to be higher persistence.
Yeah, for sure. And in virtual, we do virtual as well. So I believe we can do both, just like I believe an agent can sell life insurance and health insurance. And I'm really a believer in that. And really over the last year, we've grown our virtual side, but we've grown it in a way that I think is respectable, in a way that I wouldn't mind working. Yep. So everything I do in the business side, and I was talking to a buddy this morning about it, I said, I'm not going to lead in business unless it's something I would be okay doing. Yep. So I'm okay door knocking. I know you did it. And while it's a grind, it was fruitful.
It taught me everything, though. It taught me the most fundamental sales skills, the way to connect with people, the way to maximize a household, because if I didn't, I wasn't going to eat.
Correct.
So, I mean, that is what developed our sales process today, is because I was forced to do it by survival more than anything. But I mean, it taught me so much more than that.
On the virtual side, I didn't want to be, hey, I need you to dial 10,000 dials today, and you're going to hit your quota, right? You're going to hit your numbers. That's not what I wanted to build. I don't want to
Right.
lead people into that.
Right.
To me, the
It's a
top of the
burnout sweatshop.
correct.
Yeah.
And I'm not trying to run that, right?
Yeah.
Instead, I would rather run something like what we have is where my agents, the only outbound dialing they do is for the appointment that's already on their calendar.
Right.
So 5 to 6 appointments a day, they're calling somebody who's answering the phone at a 90% rate, excited to talk to them, and they're closing business.
And I want to build a shop how I would want to buy, right?
Correct.
I don't see myself ever buying from somebody that cold called me
Correct.
on a random dial.
Yeah.
Yeah, if I want to buy something, I've researched it, I've been educated,
Yep.
and I've requested an appointment for a sales presentation or to purchase something. So that's exactly how we built our shop. And we have brick and mortars. We have 4 brick and mortars. We love the in-person sales.
Yep.
But for the volume we want to do, we have to diversify and have that remote sales. But it's the same sales presentation. It's the same high intent education, high net worth client. And the fundamentals were built off what we did when we were in the field.
Yeah.
So all those things work together.
When you have different tiers of people in the industry, you've got like final expense clients are who they are. They're great people, but they're a lot of blue collar people. Their income is just strictly on Social Security a lot of times. Not household, but individual income probably below $3,000 a month. Okay.
Yeah.
So we want to keep doing that because those people are always going to exist and they need to be serviced well and they need these products. But what about the people who are between $3,000 to $8,000 a month, right? We want to be able to tap into that market too. And those people care more about the education process. And that's what the webinar model allows us to do. And where we really resonated is you were never just a educate or we're just doing Medicare. It is about what can we offer these people to really enhance their insurance experience.
Holistic planning. Yep.
And so that's where I think we really connected was there was a cross-sell focus.
Yep.
And I've always been about that. And so where a lot of other people don't focus on that, they miss a lot of revenue opportunity. And it's hard to be, talk about profitability in the first year. A lot of people the last couple of years the pitch was you're going to build the renewals, right? It's almost like survive with it, right? We talk about if you're just doing Medicare, you're going to have skinny kids, okay? So we're like, you got to survive through it and the renewals are going to be great.
Right.
Well, you hear that and you listen to it, but then commissions start getting adjusted and getting pulled, and you've built your life on this renewal basis that is not at your control.
Yeah.
But if you have a sales process, you can control that. Right. And that's where I'm like, okay, now I'm confident with that process, and that's why we're growing like we are.
Yeah, and talk present day right now. So you said this started off. Let's go back here. Started off with Josh as a teacher and a coach, making what $50,000 a year with
I
summer
wish.
income.
Oh man, I'd still be there. No, making like with summer income, probably
maybe 50,000.
maybe 50,000.
Okay.
Yeah.
And now you own Guided Senior Solutions, which has how many people under that umbrella right now?
I would say 50 to 75. I mean, you've got some silent brokers that partner with us and they do some training, but they're not like full-time.
Yeah.
Full-time over 30. And then we have a couple office admin. And then we have 4 LOAs.
Yeah. And going back, so that's 2020 to 2026, you've grown extensively over the last couple of years. What are some lessons that you learned in terms of growth? Like if you were somebody watching this and you were giving advice on what it took you to grow and how the lessons that you learned, what are some key things you take away from that?
One thing is people can be your greatest asset, right? So I would not be able to grow and develop at all if I didn't have people that were dependable, loyal, and people that you could trust, right? I think that's a big part of like leadership. I've talked about, before the podcast, we have some managers and they're willing to step up to the plate of a challenge. And so as I grow, I don't also want to grow and have, a 7-figure, 8-figure agency and everybody else be scrounging around, right? I want to bring people with me. And I believe a rising tide does lift all ships. And so by having that ability, bringing people with you, it's exciting, it's fun, right? So lessons I've learned is, and I was talking about to Keegan before, is in leadership, I don't always want to just lead people, I want to lead leaders. Well, in order for me to level up who I'm leading, I have to level up as an individual, right? So that means you can't skip devotions, right? You can't skip being mentored too. You can't skip learning about yourself, like learning different character traits and reading, right? You got to be constantly filling up so that you're able to pour out. And I'll tell you, if you skip that, you'll notice it. You'll get on a training, you'll get on a leadership call, you'll try to speak to somebody and you'll kind of just be pouring fluff out instead of quality stuff. And so as you develop and as you grow and you want to lead more people, it takes more of pouring into yourself so that you have stuff you can share, right? And so learning systems, processes, developing that. I went from 3 years ago having no staff, okay? that I hired my first admin. Did not work out well, okay? But I took a chance. And I was
Yeah.
like, I heard somebody on one of your trainings, I think yesterday, they were like, I had the entire salary in the bank before I hired somebody. I did the same thing. I was nervous. I was like, I'm taking this person's livelihood in my hands. So it didn't work out. I fired them. They say hire fast, fire faster, right? That's a big lesson we are learning now in our brokerage is everything comes with a review,
Yep.
right? So one lesson is everybody we hire, 30-day, 90-day review, okay? We don't just drag people along anymore. If you're not hitting certain benchmarks that we know are capable if you're following our recipe, then it's just not a good fit. And we're going to part ways. No hard feelings, but
Yeah, I read this the other day about pulling weeds, right?
Yeah.
Weeds can overtake a garden. You have to constantly pull the weeds or it's going to overtake the garden. I'm telling you, we've hired, we've fired, people have left this year. And when you eliminate the bottom performers and the low performers, everybody else elevates. Why?
Yeah.
Because you're eliminating the floor.
Yeah.
There is a new floor. There is a new standard, a new expectation. So I think it's really important, like you said, that 30, 60, 90-day check-in. And the hardest part is when you make your first fire or let somebody go for the first time, it's tough because I can see it. I mean, you're a good guy. I feel like I'm a good guy at heart.
Yeah.
Like you're having people's livelihood, but at the end of the day, that really can spread and hold you back and keep you from busting through that ceiling.
Yeah, well, so I hired my first admin, right? Didn't work out well. I was just hired based on convenience.
Yeah.
Interviewed, hired my next one, and she's really changed everything.
Yep.
And developed into like an executive assistant. Operations been set up.
On
systems.
the flip side, a great hire can
Yeah.
absolutely explode you.
Yeah, exactly. Large, a huge asset for us. And it's been, I think, good for her family as well with increases and growth there. But since then, we've been able to grow tremendously. And then since really defining roles in our hierarchy with managers and so forth, when I stopped trying to do everything and really put more on people, that's where we've been able to grow more. So learning through the years, I think, is just, I continue to reinvest in the business. Every benchmark I hit with revenue, it's not, now it's time to take another trip. Right. Now it's time to do this. It's like, I feel like a little bit of a charge and a challenge that I have more assets to manage to develop things better for everybody else. Right. And so that's where I think learning through that is if you continue to pour back and you continue to invest in the business and continue to learn, always be a student, you can really go a lot of really cool places.
I love that. And if you were to do it all over again, the last 6 years specifically, 2020 to 2026, what would you do differently to get there faster?
Yeah, well, I would do a lot of things faster. So number one, I would not take away my field experience, okay? Because I think it teaches a lot, like the door knocking.
Yeah.
So I wouldn't skip any of that. I would continue that. Knowing what I know now, though, I would hire faster and I would do things what I would consider my way, quote unquote, okay?
Yeah.
And that is that we teach the cross-sell earlier on. There was, I've heard people talk and they're like, well, if you teach people to do too many things, they can't handle it, they're gonna be low performers. But the people I want to work with, they're hungry for that information, right? And if they can't handle it, they're not somebody I really want to work with anyway. Because if you only can handle one single product and you can't handle multiple things, you're probably slinging bad insurance policies because you don't understand the products you're slinging.
People literally need to understand if you're not offering a holistic plan, you're not doing your job.
Right.
And if you come in day one only offering one product, you're not doing your job from day one.
Well, we want persistency, right? So if I have multiple products in a house, Josh Cooper's my guy.
Yeah.
He's my agency. He helps me with Medicare, life insurance.
Yeah.
We got my hospital plan with him. He helped me with an annuity. My brother does. My whole family uses him. I get calls daily about people with referrals. Hey, can you help this person out? I know they're not a part of your agency, but can you write them a life insurance policy? I'm like, yeah, obviously that's everybody's dream.
After 10 years of doing this, when you get a claim, a death claim or cancer claim, whatever, I got a check from Josh Cooper's agency.
Yeah.
Not Aetna. Like Josh Cooper got me this protection that helped me when I needed it.
Like truthfully, the amount of people that we've been able to help, and I shared one in Destin was, a lady that was my father-in-law's one of his good buddies. I helped him with Medicare. I encouraged him to get life insurance, didn't have any. Got some. 10 months later, massive heart attack, passed away.
Yeah.
Okay. His wife got a $30,000 tax-free check 3 weeks later.
Do you have any idea how much benefit your agency's paid out?
I don't know off the top of my head. I know that, I know over the last year, every single month we're paying a claim.
Yeah.
And you're working with seniors, this happens. But from a $5,000 to a $50,000 policy, I can tell you even a $5,000 to $10,000 policy, I've had a beneficiary tell me, I didn't know we were going to pay our mortgage. And, my dad left that and he was always trying to look out for us. Thank you so much. Really emotional, things that people are dealing with. And we have I've always kind of said two things. I hate the second part, but I don't know a better way to put it. Help people and make money.
Yep.
And we look at that in a way of, if we're helping clients correctly, we are going to make money. It's going to stick because we're putting them in the right product, the right plan. If we're helping agents make money, then that's also going to help us make money, right? So it's got to be in that order every single time. If
I always say the hierarchy is upside down. The client should be at the top of the hierarchy.
Yeah.
Okay, everything starts with the client, and then it works to the agent, then the manager, then the agency, then the FMO, IMO, and then the carrier.
Yeah.
Right? When you do things in that order with the client at the top of the mind, everybody wins.
Yeah.
All the way down the line.
Yeah. So that's been a big focus, just really help people. Yeah. Right. And if we take that approach, the revenue and the money will follow. And that's shown true to where we're at today. And it's been a fun ride. And so we're still pushing.
But in terms of, it sounds like hiring faster would have been one of the main takeaways that you have.
Yeah. So I would say hiring faster and getting an admin faster.
Yeah.
So I try to do everything by myself just because, it's kind of like mine. Like I worked so hard, this is my revenue or whatever. And thinking that was really the case. But truthfully, and you have two small children, right? So three. Yeah, that's right. Three. So there becomes a stressor point in every level of business, right? And it can put stress on the marriage. It can put stress on family, like, am I being a good dad? And you need those systems to help allow a balance. And there are so many people in the industry, life insurance specifically, that are promoting and pushing like, oh, if you just work 100 hours a week for 100 years, or for 5 years, you're going to be a multimillionaire.
Right.
And it's like, guys, I don't want to lead somebody into a position where I'm blowing up families and I'm blowing up homes because I'm just saying work is the only thing that matters. Because at the end of the day, if you get to the mountaintop, you're by yourself, it's not a lot of fun. And so it's how can we develop a system and a platform that allows agents to have a process where they want to show up weekly because they believe in what they're doing. And we're serving clients in a way where they are fans of yours, sending more people to you. And so I think we've been able to do that. And now it's just like, we want to do more of it.
Yeah.
And so every time we have conversations with people who are already in the industry, we're able to help, I think, instill cross-sell advice, really fully protecting clients and so forth. But definitely going faster and adding systems and an admin as soon as I could afford it.
Yep. Yeah. And that's the thing I talked about yesterday on our operating call is the first hire, in my opinion, should be administrative help. Buy your time back.
Yeah.
You are the best salesperson you got. You generate the most revenue. Get everything off your plate that doesn't make you money.
My wife bought me a book, Dan Martell, Buy Back Your Time.
Yep.
And that was a big transformation. Big shift for you. A big shift. Yep. Yeah, because they talk about the admin and going through the emails. My admin's in my email every day, organizing things.
So one thing I still don't do, I still don't have somebody going through my email.
I will say, buying back your time. What a lot of people don't realize, that I hear their stories and so forth, is if they're generating enough revenue, which they should be the revenue generator because they're a solo shop initially. If you get an admin, now you can just generate more revenue. Yep. They think an admin's taking away from their revenue, but that's going to accelerate them.
Yep. And
so that's really where, if they don't have money to afford a revenue, they have a sales problem, and that's a them problem because they're their only producer.
Yep.
And so some people, we talked about order takers. Some people I talk to or I listen to, I'm like, well, you guys need to learn a sales process instead of just being an order taker of only doing Medicare core products.
Yep.
And you're going to see your revenue jump, and now you're going to have the money for an admin.
I mean, everything is return on investment. We talk about ad spend all the time, right?
Yep.
If I spend $1 on Medicare on Facebook ads, it should generate me $3 or $4, and I'll just do that all day long, right?
Yep.
If I spend $40,000 to $50,000 to hire an admin, well, that $40,000 or $50,000 should generate me $100,000, $150,000 more.
Correct.
So I'm just trading a buck for $2 or $3 all day long, and that's all I look for when I hire. Is I look, hey, can this person, when I pay them, generate 2, 3, 4 times the amount of revenue or investment that I make into them? And that's what hiring is at the end of the day.
With an admin, they're not bringing you revenue, but what they're doing is now, where you had to have an office day, now you have more of an income producing day. And we've always talked about income producing activities. So throughout our recipe for success, we have a certain period of time each week. If you're not doing income producing activities, you're missing the mark. And if you don't have time to do income producing activities, you need to hire an admin. And so that's where, for me, the systems and stuff I've built, now I'm pushing my managers, hey, you're at a point you need an admin. I know your revenue is doing pretty well, okay? You need to hire an admin because I want you to buy back your time, right? I don't want you to go down a path where you feel like you have to do everything by yourself. And so I've facilitated helping that, because at the end of the day, what's my motto is help people first, right? So if I help my managers, my agents, my brokers if I help them be successful, that's going to result in bigger things for the agency across the board.
Well, I think this is a good segue here because we talked about you can't do everything by yourself.
Yep.
Right. And that's one thing that has allowed us to become a $10 million plus agency and develop something big. Is we realized, I realized I can't do everything by myself. I started looking to people. I say everything can be solved with a person or a process.
Yep.
So we formed a partnership here recently. We announced it on the national stage, and you've entered the CoachG platform. You run our life division. You've solved a big problem, in my opinion. In the Medicare space specifically, where we specialize in, and that's kind of where our platform lives, is for Medicare agents and agencies. A lot of them are not holistically planning. We were not holistically planning when it came to final expense, life insurance, IULs, all those different things. So in comes Josh Cooper, and this has been about 18 months in the making.
Yeah.
Where I think we both knew that there was an opportunity here, but now you really solve a big problem, which is helping Medicare agents and agencies offer these holistic plannings through final expense, life insurance, and all these different things. Talk to me in your words, what problems are you solving? What are you doing in the CoachG platform?
Yeah, so first off, with the platform and opportunity, I've always believed if I had the shot, I could do it, right?
Yep.
And then you start playing with some professional guys, and you're like, okay. In every level, I'm like, if I just had an opportunity, I believe I'm going to take advantage of it because I know myself, right? And it comes from a deep place of confidence, which confidence is the memory of success. I've done it so many times. I know that I can do this, right? I just need the opportunity. So when I reached out to you and we connected, I like what you had done on the platform. I resonate with the coaching because that was what I wanted to be. I was Coach Coop, right?
Yep.
It's actually pretty cool. I actually just hired one of the kids I taught in 6th grade in our office for an LOA. So I'm pretty excited about that as he gets going. Because it's like come full circle. He's like 22 now. He's about to graduate college.
So I was from you, Travis.
So that's a cool thing. So, but with the platform, what we're trying to do is, I know it's really 3 things. It's see the potential, believe in the why, and understand the how. Okay. And funny story, we were in Destin. I'm about to get up there and talk to everybody. And I have this whole thing outlined of what I'm going to say. And I can't remember who was talking ahead of time. And that was what came to me. And that's what stuck with me through every conversation we've had. Is see the potential, because it needs to be simple, right?
Yep.
Believe in the why and understand the how. And so my goal on every single call is, number one, challenging people to have the conversations. So if they come to a coaching call and they're not talking to clients or they're not working leads, then they don't need to be on the call, right? Like 100%. What kind of conversations are you having? So now bring it up every single time, and we teach how to do that in a strategic manner where they can engage in a back and forth conversation, because I want them to see that life insurance is not a foreign concept to their clients. Now, believe in the why. Why do we offer life insurance? Because burial cost is expensive. Social Security stops immediately when somebody passes away, and people need income replacement, right?
And 100% of people are going to die.
100% of people are going to die. So believe in the why. So if you offered everybody life insurance, would that meet a need in the world? Yeah, absolutely. If 100% of people purchase. So the why behind what we're doing is very easy to be passionate about. The third part's a big part for a lot of people, understand the how. So most people you can convince, like, yeah, okay, people do buy life insurance. If you just ask 100 people who has life insurance, a lot of people are going to say yes. The second part is believe in the why. Well, do you think protecting your family is worthwhile? Well, yes. Well, now, how do we actually implement this and do this? And that's where our core 4 carriers come in, where we have a carrier that kind of covers, number one, every health condition, because a lot of seniors have pre-existing conditions. Number 2, it's a simplified product. So we're not having to wait weeks and have to get paramed exams.
Yeah, explain simplified, just instant issue, right?
Yeah, so, and once again, I love this. There's some really good people in the industry, but a lot of people fearmonger, and some people will just try to talk crap about simplified products. A simplified product in today's world means there's an electronic application, and probably in over half of them, they give you a decision halfway through the application. So they're doing a prescription check and an MIB check.
Which is so critical that you're on the phone with the client. You can tell them they have coverage. You can tell them if we need to go somewhere else. You can give them peace of mind in that call.
Yeah, so you're selling peace of mind, right? And instead of having to say, well, we'll have to send it off and hope for what's approved, having instant decision without a paramed. We live in America. People pay for convenience all the time.
Yep.
DoorDash, Instacart, whatever. They'll pay more. You know, they have charge on that.
I'm a victim. I will pay for the most stupid things for convenience.
Yeah, well, okay, there's a taco box bar close to us. They send you a taco box.
Yeah.
You order it on DoorDash. It's more expensive, but it's a taco box. You just pay for it, right? But we know that, but it's convenience.
Yeah.
So for a lot of times, it's not a big difference. But for a couple dollars, do you think people would rather have a decision now and be done with it? Or would they have to revisit this conversation every 5 days to determine, are they going to get their blood drawn, have to take a piss test, all that type of stuff? So simplified issue products are really big in the market. They make it simple so agents don't have to really get confused. They can make it easier to learn and understand, and they're instant issue. So we, I think, specialize in a simplified issue portfolio. We have fully underwritten products, but those are for kind of niche cases or specific situations. But as a general overview, I think the simplified issue market is a huge advantage to add with the ancillary cancer, heart attack, stroke, and so forth. And when you bring it up, you'll have people. I was listening to a call recording from one of our agents, and she's like, "Honey, do you know how hard it is to get life insurance if you've had cancer?" And he asked the question. Well, and he says, "What we train, we have a specific portfolio for people who have pre-existing conditions who are a little bit older." And when did you have cancer?
Was that one of our agents?
One of my agents.
Yeah, love it.
And she said 9 years ago. Well, a lot of simplified issue products have a 5-year look back.
5-year look back. Yeah.
And so now she's like tickled to death. He writes $5,000 in premium on one policy. She gets $100,000 of coverage, and and she's like, "Thank you so much." And he just met a need that he wouldn't even known was there unless he asked.
Yep.
And so, as an independent agent, a lot of them, if they added $5,000 of revenue a month, that would change their whole outlook on things. Yep. And so, what we try to teach is if you can write one policy a week, the average premium is going to be between $75 to $120. You're going to add about $4,000 of revenue.
Yeah.
With no additional ad spend, because you're already talking to the people.
Yeah.
So that's the simple thing is see the potential, believe in the why, and understand the how.
And my wheels are spinning now in terms of the end of our Medicare presentation. We can change that from retirement planning to retirement and legacy and incorporate final expense in a 30-second to 60-second blurb there and embed that in the presentation like we do everything else.
Yeah, no, I've thought about that. I need to probably do my webinar.
Yeah.
And we teach, like, when we're going through the CNA, which we follow y'all CNA, it's a great process. We don't want to derail and only do life insurance, but I talk about it like if you're ever driving through the scenic mountains and there's a little pull off, you can pull off, take a picture, and get right back on.
Yeah.
That's what we do. We don't want to get off the exit. We pull off, talk about it.
In terms of congruency, we need to put that in our presentation.
Sure.
It's in our CNA.
Yeah, it would help. I think so, yeah.
But if we just slide it in there, 30, 60 seconds, that's going to be a big change after this one. I like that.
I think getting the wording right too, so that way the agents can mimic the words that are being heard. That way they're being inundated with it.
Yep.
And so they're ready to talk about it.
Congruency. But in the CoachG platform, so you're leading life distribution. I mean, I see that being, I see you being a core kind of voice in the industry for life insurance, especially in the Medicare space. I don't think it's there, period. Right? So I'm really excited to integrate you there. You lead a weekly training in our platform called the Red Zone. What does that platform look like? What are you doing in that weekly session?
So right now our goal is at the beginning of every call, we're going to cover a specific topic. It could be a specific carrier, how their products work. It could be riders on a policy. It could be how to write a policy. I've got it planned out where we're covering a specific topic every single time. Then at the second half of the call, we're opening up for case studies, because we're not on the first week, we're like 4 weeks in, 5 weeks in. Agents are bringing case studies. Hey, I had this client with this health condition. They asked this question. What do I do? So I can directly give them coaching, and all these are recorded in the vault, so somebody else can go back and learn from that as well. But I want agents to see what they're able to do and see the benefit of it, because when you get the paycheck from that motivates you to ask it again and again and again, because they are large paychecks. And so it's always going to involve a little bit of a case study, because I don't ever want somebody to come to a coaching session and not be able to ask a question. That's a lecture, right? Coaching is back and forth, right? And being able to give some feedback. Hey, you did this wrong, or hey, let's ask this a certain way, and it makes a world of difference.
But kind of off topic here, but not really. I think we touched on it prior off air. Is every session, whether it's a training, morning meeting, whatever, it should never be like, hey, tell me about your day or whatever. It should be very systematically planned out. We should be teaching on something specific, and then opening it up for group discussion, right? I should have some type of, like, just when I was at football practice, right? We always started with very specific drills that we did every day that I hated, honestly. But they make you, they provide that muscle memory, those reps, those frequency, right? And then we always had special drills we did on the week based on the team we're playing or the situations that we were running into. Right. So I think it's really important.
And I believe in being prepared, right? So we're going to prep and train, and that puts a little pressure on me, but I want to be, you were talking yesterday about back to the wall. I want pressure on myself. If there's no pressure on me, I'm like, what am I doing? I'm looking for pressure, right? A little bit, right? Sometimes we fill the plate up a little bit too much. The moment you get uncomfortable,
it's so cliche, but if you're not uncomfortable, you're literally stagnant, in my opinion. You should always have some little bit of uncomfort at somewhere in your personal life or your business that's driving you to that next level? Because
Right.
I've interviewed Ryan Kimball, president of Integrity, and it just stuck with me. He's like, they own hundreds of businesses now,
Sure.
right? And he said there's two types of businesses:
Rising sun.
sun and a setting sun.
I heard that interview.
And it
That's a good
just
one.
stuck with me because what stuck with me the most is the setting suns, the people that are going down, they don't realize it
Yeah.
until a year or two when it's too late, when you've already had that big decline. And rising sun, it's obvious, right?
Yeah.
But the setting sun, it's like, okay, we didn't grow as much as we wanted to this year. And then all of a sudden, boom, right? And I'm telling you, having that uncomfort, having that just something pushing you is always going to keep you going to that next level.
When that goes back, I talked about John Wooden. I can't remember if I said it here or before. So in high school, I had a big mentor, Coach Boker, and he quoted John Wooden. So you might as well have been John Wooden. Like he quoted him all the time, little idiosms and so forth, little sayings all the time. And like play hard, play smart, have fun, different things like that. Well, Coach John Wooden was a big proponent of every piece of practice being strategically, like where the basketballs are at, everything being coordinated, where we're maximizing our efficiency. We're not just there, like we had a 3-hour practice. No. We had an hour and 20-minute practice, but man, it was balls to the wall. We were getting after it. And so that's how I coached, and that's how I want to train. When we have a training in the morning from 9 o'clock, if it's going to be done at 9:45, hey, 9:45, let's go get after it. We're done. Yeah. But at 9 o'clock, my camera's on and the expectation is there and we're starting. It's not one of those trainings where we'll get started in about 15, 20 minutes waiting on people to join. It's, hey.
You heard me this morning. Like, hey, we're on Lombardi time. Yeah. If you're not early, you're late. Yeah. And I'm really ingraining that into our team right now because we've got to maximize appointments, whether it's with each other or with our prospects.
And and one challenge we didn't talk about is when we came in and we started hiring and growing, it was just do what we're doing. There was no systems and process. When you take a herd of people or whatever, and there are no systems and process, putting systems and process in place without disrupting them is a very delicate thing. And so what we've been able to do that, but it's a process, like we have Zoom calls, people get on. Right now, our thing is this: managers, hey guys, let's have our cameras on. I want you to encourage everybody to have their cameras on. Okay, that seems like a silly thing. But when your camera's on, you're engaged.
100%.
And when your camera's not on, it's easy to put the phone down. And then you're like calling somebody and they're like, oh yeah, what'd you say?
Yeah, the camera's not on, you're on other browsers and all those other things.
Exactly. So
I'll never forget Jason McCool. I've done a couple sessions for his organization. Yeah. One of the highest performing overall revenue organizations in our industry. Yeah. They have a meeting every week. Every advisor, over 400, 500 advisors have their camera on.
Yeah, that's awesome.
It's insane.
And it takes setting the standard, right? And then holding them to it, but being consistent. And if you're going to set the standard high, you got to hold yourself to a higher standard, right? 100%. And you got to be there. And so the journey is the process, right? Is fun, right? And so that's where you have to enjoy that part, because if people ask me, what's your goal? Like, my goal is growth. Yep. And if I'm not growing and our agency's not growing, then I need to figure out what the bottlenecks are and the problems. Yep. It's not a monetary growth. It's not an agent number growth. It's a growth goal. We want to continue to improve and be better. And that's as a leader, as a husband, as a father, and just continue to develop.
Well, this is a good transition area to wrap this thing up.
Sure.
So Josh Cooper started $50,000 a year, just maybe $50,000 a year as a teacher, trying to hustle in the summer. Now you're doing over 7 figures of annual revenue in your businesses. I know you just mentioned growth, but like what do you see yourself in maybe the next couple of years, or what's the end goal here apart from growth?
It's a tough one. It's a moving target. Yeah, I think you would relate to that because at one point it was,
I remember 10 years ago, I said, if I could just sell my business for $1 million, do that a month now.
Yeah. And at one point you're like, if I made it 6 figures, taking it back, I thought if I made 6 figures in my 50s, I would have arrived. Right. Yeah. And then you realize, well, actually a buddy asked me this on Saturday at a July 4th party. He's like, what keeps you motivated to keep going at different levels? And if you want to help people and that's your primary focus, you never run out of things to drive for you. Right. So like if I don't have any needs, because there's different benchmarks to wealth. There's a level of wealth where you can go fill up the gas can in your car. You can go to the grocery store, swipe your card, and like don't think about anything, and that's nice, right? Yeah. There's a level of wealth where you can, pay for kids' colleges and not think about it. That's nice. There's a level of wealth where you can, maybe buy your parents a house or whatever, different things like that. Yeah. I'm one of 9, right? And so with that, there's always somebody else you could impact, right? There's always other people, not even in family, that could use help and support. So I think if you keep the focus on actually helping people, and that's where your drive is, then you just want to go to the moon, right? Yeah. So for me, it's just the revenue is a benchmark of the success.
Yeah.
but it's not the ultimate goal.
Of that continued growth that you're seeking.
So like I do look back and we look at it and we say, well,
revenue signals growth. With ultimately what you're caring about is just growth.
It's just growth,
rising
and development.
Because a rising sun.
We're in a room together right now, but like I continue to meet people that are several stages ahead of me.
Yeah.
And I'm always in, okay, let me learn from them. And there are people I've met that I don't want to duplicate. I don't want to live that way, right?
Yeah.
But there are people I met and I'm like, hey, I want to duplicate what this person has developed, or I want to take some things from that and add it to here, some things from there. And so I think it's just the journey, and embracing that with the challenges is the ultimate goal.
Yeah.
And rising people to develop and seeing people have the financial freedom and being able to mentor people.
Yeah, well, you're doing a hell of a job. This has been a fun podcast.
Appreciate
I feel
it.
like I got to know a little bit more about what made you who you are.
Yeah.
And I mean, a couple words come to mind, just integrity, no pun intended. I know I have the integrity background, but I mean, a man of integrity, a man of faith, a man of consistency and discipline. I mean, those are just some words that I would use to describe you. I've got two final questions as we wrap this thing up. What is the best piece of advice that you've ever received?
Well, the Coach Boker always said, be quick, but not in a hurry, right? So I'm not going to say that like, that's just what comes to mind right now, because in business, you need to take action.
Yep.
You can't be slow, but at the same time, you can't rush things without putting thought into it.
Yep.
So don't be scared to take action. Don't have paralysis by analysis, right? So that's a good, quick thing to remember. I'm a quotes guy. I'd have to pull out, I kind of want to pull out my phone. Let me see if I can get something real quick. What's the other question? I want to, because I have so many quotes.
My last question would be, what are you most proud of?
Probably personal development.
Yeah. Elaborate on that a little bit.
As you hit different challenges, you have different pain points, right?
Yeah.
And so you have to either run from it or like lean into it. And I think through business, there's just different like uncomfortable places where you have to say, all right, I'm going to embrace this and I'm going to become better for it throughout the end. Yep. And balance. Like do you think balance is hard in business?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah. So I guess I would say like not giving up, being resilient, and being able to go through tough times and say, man, I'm just going to walk away right now. You know what I mean? Like I've done some good things, I'm done. But being able to say, all right, like family is going to be back in focus where it needs to be. Business also has a focus, like not putting anything out of whack, right? Tony Holland,
like you said, never getting too high or too low in different areas.
So Tony Holland, I talked to him after Destin. We had a good call. And one thing he had said was like, people want to say like family or God, family, business, or whatever it may be. He's like, but really it's you. You have to pour into yourself and make sure you're aligned and balanced where it needs to be so you can feed and take care of everything else.
Yeah.
I can't remember what I saw this morning.
Kind of what you started off air is the oxygen.
Yeah, right? Put your oxygen mask on first so you can help people.
Yeah.
Oh, Josh Howerton, he's a pastor, so shout out to him. I don't know him personally, but he got a lot of really good stuff on social media. And one of those good voices you can listen to.
Yeah.
And he was talking about, and their kids, he was like, they had to stay in the room till 8 o'clock in the morning because he was like, they needed their time to like get set up for the day. And if his wife wasn't able to like get in the word or have devotion or do different things, then the household's going to be chaotic.
Yeah.
And so I think for me, one thing I'm most proud of is where we're at today through difficult times, and then also where I see we can go in bringing people with me, I think the right way.
Yeah.
So, because there's opportunity to do things unethically in business, right?
Oh, yeah.
And when you make decisions, even though I may want to be here and I'm only right here right now, it's standing on the fact that I'm really proud. I go to bed at night and I'm like proud of what we're doing.
Made the right decisions. Yeah. Did the next right thing. One thing I always live by is just doing the next right thing.
I'll say, so I use hire for character, train for skill.
Yeah.
And then another one is one of the most dangerous places to be in life is full.
Yeah.
And so, a simple prayer I have for myself is, God, don't make me too hungry where I steal or too full where I don't depend on you. And so we want to be at a place where we're like content, but not apathetic.
Yeah.
And that's a balance.
I would say that the one thing that's been living in my head lately is you are the problem, but you're also the solution.
Yeah. I think that's a good one. I'll write it down in the notes.
Yeah, love it. Well, it's been awesome, brother. I'm really excited for this partnership. I think it's going to be a lifelong friendship and just growth in all areas. So really appreciate you and appreciate you coming down here. I'm excited to see you start building your brand and getting your content out there and sharing yourself with the world. I think you got a lot of great stuff to share.
Appreciate it. Looking forward to it. Thanks for having me, man. It's been awesome.
Appreciate you coming in.